Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about what I'm going to be reading for the month of January. Now, since I did read a lot of books in December, I definitely want to keep that momentum going, but I don't want to jinx myself and overwhelm myself with adding too many books on my TBR list. This time though, I actually did something really fun. I got for Christmas in one of my book boxes a deck of TBR prompt cards. So they look like this. Look how cute they are. And so I actually pulled 4 out of the deck. I have 8 books in front of me because again, I don't want to overwhelm myself with trying to hit the 12 book goal this month. I just want to mood read and just enjoy my time reading a lot. So I have 8 to share with you. The first books I'm going to share with you I haven't received yet. They're from book boxes, so we'll go over those first. Then the next books are books that have been on my TBR for a while. And lastly, we're going to go over the 4 books that I picked out of my TBR prompt cards, which was actually very fun. And if this ends up being successful and I end up reading all the books that I say I'm going to read this month, then maybe next month I will film myself pulling out the prompt cards and looking through my library to see what kind of books I can match to the cards, because it's so fun when you have so many books, especially when I'm trying to get through my backlist and trying to get through my entire TBR, huge TBR that I have. It's nice to kind of pull out prompts and know and be confident enough that I actually do have a book in my library or on my shelves that correlate or, match with the prompt, which is nice. That means that I've accumulated quite a bit of books and I have a lot of variety and options and genres to choose from. Without further ado, let's begin. I'm so excited about this. This is so much fun. This is the first time I do this type of video, so I am super excited. So let's talk about the first 2 books that I haven't received yet that are from book boxes. The first book that I'm gonna get is The Diamond of London by Andrea Penrose, and that one's gonna be my Once Upon a Book Club adult January pick. All I know about this one is that it is a historical romance. There is some British literature, and that's basically it. It's ritzy and it's probably got glam, and I'm all about it. I'll read you the synopsis of it just to get a little feel of what the book is about, but I'm really excited about this one. Born into an illustrious family of swashbuckling war heroes and brilliant political leaders, Lady Hester Stanhope was a Regency-era adventuress who lived on her own terms and refused to conform. At the heart of the USA Today best-selling author Andrea Penrose's dazzling new historical novel based on the real life of Lady Hester Stanhope, 1776 to 1839, a British aristocrat, antiquarian, and adventurer who defied all conventional strictures of what a woman could and couldn't do during the Regency era. Basically, that's all I'm going to tell you. It doesn't really sound very interesting, but it sounds glamorous, and it is based on someone's actual real life, Lady Hester Stanhope, who was probably resilient, very feminist, and yeah, I'm actually very excited to read that one. The next one on my list would be Book of the Month's January pick, and that is First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. This is a thriller, and that's really all I know about it. I know that it's about a girl who's basically living a double life and it's starting to catch up to her, I think, but I've heard really great things about it from those who read The Arc. I've heard it's actually a really great book, and it says Evie Porter has everything nice a southern girl could want: a perfect doting boyfriend, a house with a white picket fence and a garden, a fancy group of friends. The only catch: Evie Porter doesn't exist. The identity comes to Evie Porter. Once she's given a name and location by her mysterious boss, Mr. Smith, she learns everything there is to know about the town and the people in it. Then the target, Ryan Sumner, the last piece of the puzzle, is the job. Evie isn't privy to Mr. Smith's real identity, but she knows this job will be different. Ryan has gotten under her skin and she's starting to envision a different sort of life for herself. But Evie can't make any mistakes, especially after what happened last time, because the one thing she's worked her entire life to keep clean, the one identity she could always go back to, her real identity, just walked right into this town. Evie Porter must stay one step ahead of her past while making sure there's still a future in front of her. The stakes couldn't be higher, but then Evie has always liked a challenge. So it sounds interesting. I usually don't like to read about books that have to do with a double life and somebody moving into a different state to portray this double life. But I've heard really great things about this one, and I heard it keeps you on your toes. And I just recently finished None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell, and let me tell you, that book was so good. It got me addicted to wanting to read thrillers. I haven't been in a thriller mood in a while, and once I read that book, it made me feel like, oh my gosh, I want to pick up something else like this. So I'm kind of desperate for my next thriller to be just as great of an experience as that one was. Okay, so let's get to the books now that have been on my TBR for quite some time, starting with Sarah J. Maas's Assassin's Blade. Now this one is actually, you can read at least the first 3 books in the series in a different order. I regret reading Throne of Glass first. I should have read this first, but usually people that read Throne of Glass first, then read Crown of Midnight, and then read Assassin's Blade. Well, I'm not going to do that. I just want to get into the nitty gritty of this book. I want to cry. I want to feel for the character, and I want to know Selena Sardathian's past, and this is basically the book that talks about her past before Throne of Glass. So I'm very interested and intrigued to get back into the series and keep going as far as reading 1 book a month, and I hope that I can manage to read this one this month. The next book was released this month. I've totally forgot the date it was released, but I've been anticipating this book for quite some time, ever since I finished the first book in this series, in this 2-book series last year, and that is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. I mean, this is the second book of, totally forgot the name of the series, but it's the Letters of Enchantment series, and this is the second and final book to that installment. I can't wait where the story goes, if it's gonna break my heart just as much as the first book did, with the romance and the magical elements and the war with the gods. I can't wait. So I'm not really gonna talk about synopsis of this because it'll give things away on the first one, but if you haven't read Divine Rivals yet, what are you doing? You need to pick up this series. Now let's go over the 4 books that I pulled out of my TBR prompt cards that actually make me happy that I was able to pull them out, because I've had these sitting on my shelf for quite some time, except for the last one, okay? The last one I literally bought last month. So I pulled out 4 TBR prompt cards, and the first prompt card that I pulled out was choose a book with an animal on the cover. I thought I didn't have a lot of books like that, but I do. I actually do have a lot of books like that. I just decided to go with this one because I've heard great things about this one, and that is Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Suzman. Now I heard that this one is a really great book. It's a series of 2 books, I think. The second one I own as well, but it wasn't as great, and this one is a contemporary romance, but I own both, so I'm excited because it's a very short little book. I mean, I could get through this really quickly. It is only 340 pages, so I am in the mood for like a fluffy contemporary romance. I have been reading more fantasy, and those, you know, you require a lot of brain power. So the fact that I can actually just put this on my TBR for January makes me super excited, because I don't know how long I've owned this book for, but it's been a while. It says, you will absolutely devour Alyssa Sussman's Funny You Should Ask. It's filled with delightful banter, hot romance, and a love story that's worthy of the big screen. Okay, basically it takes place in 2 timelines, the then and the now, and the then says 20-something writer Chani Horowitz is stuck. While her former MFA classmates are nabbing high-profile book deals, all she does is turn out puff pieces. Then she's hired to write a profile of a movie star, Kate Parker, her #1 celebrity crush and the latest James Bond. All Chani wants to do is keep her cool and nail the piece, but what comes next proves to be life-changing in ways she never saw coming, as the interview turns into a whirlwind weekend that has tabloids buzzing and Chani getting closer to Gabe than she had planned. 10 years later, after a brutal divorce and a healthy dose of therapy, Chani is back in Los Angeles with the career of her dreams as a successful writer. Except that no matter what new essay collection or online editorial she's promoting, someone always asks about the profile. It always comes back to Gabe. So when his PR team requests that they reunite for a second interview, she wants to say no. She wants to pretend that she's forgotten about the time they spent together. But the truth is that Chani wants to know if those 72 hours were as memorable to Gabe as they were to her, and so she says yes. Alternating between Chani and Gabe's first meeting and their reunion a decade later, this deliciously irresistible novel will have you hanging on until the last word. I can't wait. I am so excited, and it sounds like it's also a second chance romance, and it did, you know, it did match the prompt, which is choose a book with an animal on the cover, and here it is. There's the cute little puppy on the cover. So I'm so excited to read this one. I can't wait. Next up, it says, choose a book with deckled edges. Now, I really don't like books with deckled edges, to be honest with you. I just don't like it at all. I don't like the feel. I don't like the look. I'm just very picky, okay? Don't judge me. But I do own a few, only a few that I have that have deckled edges. And this one I remember getting in one of my book boxes. I think it was Just Book Box, where it's just a bunch of books, used or new. It's either that box or a book in a chocolate box that I used to do too. So this one, I think it almost feels like it's a contemporary literary fiction that takes place in Canada about women and dealing with certain things in their lives. I think that's what it's about. And that one is Better Luck Next Time by Kate Hilton. It says you can't divorce your family. But look how beautiful and festive looking this cover is. I really, really like it. And because it was from a book box, it's so cute that it was kind of stamped with a little cat, if you see. A little cat in a book, holding a book. I think that is really cute. And here are, if you could see that, the deckled edges. So I can't wait to read this. A hilarious and wonderfully heartwarming tale of family juggling the complexities of divorce, independence, love, and loss. Altogether a gem of a book. So yeah, I'm sorry, like somebody decided to mow the lawn right now as I'm filming. How rude. But I can't wait to read this. Like, I don't know if I should read you the back. It's kind of lengthy. A laugh out loud generational family comedy for those of us who have survived siblings, children, parents, and marriage. And that's pretty much all I want to say about it. I can't wait. I've had this book for quite some time and I just haven't picked it up, but I feel like it's going to be a fun time and I'm kind of in a mood to read something like this. So I have no doubt that I will be reading this in January. Now the next one I've also been eyeing. I have the entire series. It's a 3-book series and it's billionaire romances. So the next prompt said, choose a book from the top shelf of your bookshelf. And it was this one, The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. And I know that she just came out with a book that's going to be part of a brand new series, but takes place in the same town as these books do. This is the first in a 3-book series. I think it's called the Dreamland Billionaire series. And I've heard nothing but great things. I also love how this book it's just perfect. It's cute. It's not too big. It's not too bulky, but it's nice and floppy. And I've heard great things about this series in general. And I just feel like when it comes to romance, when the man is a billionaire, it's just that much more fun because the gifts and the ways that he tries to impress the girl are like stepped up a notch and are that more exaggerated because he's a billionaire. So I really like to read millionaire or billionaire romances. I think they're so fun and it's a nice palette changer. Basically what I'm trying to say. It also looks like you get dual POV, which is my favorite when it comes to romances. And this one follows Rowan and Zara. So it says, Rowan, I'm in the business of creating fairy tales, theme parks, production companies, 5-star hotels. Everything could all be mine if I renovated Dreamland. My initial idea of hiring Zara was good in theory, but then I kissed her. Things spiraled out of control once I texted her using an alias. By the time I realized where I went wrong, it was too late. People like me don't get happy endings, not when we're destined to ruin them. Zara. After submitting a drunk proposal criticizing Dreamland's most expensive ride, I should have been fired. Instead, Rowan Kane offered me a dream job. The catch? I had to work for the most difficult boss I've ever met. Rowan was rude and completely off limits, but my heart didn't care, at least not until I discovered his secret. It was time to teach the billionaire that money couldn't fix everything, especially not us. So it looks like he is her boss and he's grumpy. It might be Grumpy Sunshine, and I just love all of those tropes. So I know I'm going to have so much fun reading this. I can't wait. And then the last prompt that I got was choose a book from the bottom shelf of your bookshelf. And I have quite a few bookshelves, so I just picked one. I also have this already available on my Libby app as an audio copy of it, and that is Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Meyer, I think it is. And I got the special edition that Amazon was providing, so it's got the really pretty just red edges, and I'm obsessed. I'm also obsessed with how big this is and how nice and floppy it is, but I've heard so many great things. You guys also told me that if I loved Travis Baldry's Legends and Lattes, then I'm for sure gonna love this one. And this one is an assistant who works for a villain, obviously, and it's a romance. So it's a fantasy romance. I've heard it's funny, it's comical, and I just can't wait to read it. Assistant wanted. Notorious high-ranking villain seeks royal, level-headed assistant for unspecified office duties, supporting staff for a random mayhem and terror, and other dark things in general. Discretion a must. Excellent benefits. With ailing family to support, Evie Sage's employment status isn't just important, it's vital. So when a mishap with Rendon's most infamous villain results in a job offer, naturally she says yes. No job is perfect, of course, but even less so when you develop a tiny crush on your terrifying, temperamental, and undeniably hot boss. Don't find evil so attractive, Evie. But just when she's getting used to severed heads suspended from the ceiling and the odd squish of an errant eyeball beneath her heel, Evie suspects this dungeon has a huge rat, and not just the literal kind, because something rotten is growing in the kingdom of Rendon and someone wants to take the villain and his entire nefarious empire out. Now Evie must not only resist drooling over her boss, but also figure out exactly who is sabotaging his work and ensure he makes them pay. After all, a good job is hard to find. I can't wait. It's gonna be so much fun to read this. I just can't wait. I can already imagine what the lines and the banter back and forth is gonna be. It's gonna be so much fun. And also, this is my favorite fantasy map of all time. I mean, can you see that? Can you see how funny that is? That is so hilarious. It says, evil to do, steal street signs, kidnap damsels, madness, mayhem, lunch idea mermaid sushi, attack the castle, history forest. It says poison village well, Fluffy's cave, and then it says villain and it has like a hangman on it. That's so funny. I am very excited. I actually had so much fun pulling out these prompts. Like, you guys have no idea, especially since I'm like an annoying mood reader, but it's also very fun to kind of be able to pull books that I have had on my shelves for a long time. So to recap, these are the books, not including the ones that I mentioned that I don't have physical copies of, that I plan on reading this month. There is a total of 8 books, and I hope I read more. I just finished one and I'm on my way to finish another one that's not part of this video, so hopefully that on top of this I can manage. I hope you guys had fun with me. Next time I'll probably film me pulling out the prompts and looking through my library, because I feel like that was so much fun, and I totally understand why people do these types of videos and, you know, have a TBR jar or a TBR prompts to pick their TBRs for the month. I think this was so much fun and it actually makes me super excited to read these books. So that's it. That's it for today's video. Thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I will catch you on my next one. Bye!